Hi, Writers Cruz here. Thank you so much for joining me. In this video, we are going to be looking at a student sample essay. We're going to be looking at this student's introduction and this student's conclusion on a specific topic. If this video is something that interests you, please stay tuned. And thank you so much for subscribing and being here today. So the prompt asks, how do you think modern devices have impacted our daily lives? And do you think that they are good for us? As you can see, Writers, this prompt has two parts to it. And the prompt expects you to have an opinion on the topic. So you want to avoid contradicting yourself and you want to make sure that your opinion stays true throughout the entire essay. So we're going to look at, again, the student's introduction, and then we're also going to look at the student's conclusion, and I'll give you some feedback on, my thoughts about it. The student begins with, in this era of modernity and technology, humans are accompanied by advanced devices at every step of life. From beeping alarms to aromatic coffee brewers, distracting phone calls to gleaming cameras, we end up interacting with devices multiple times a day. The discovery of technology was merely for the leisure of humanity. Devices and machines were expected to serve us. The abundant exposure to technology has drastically soared over the past decade. Have we become slaves to our own inventions? Have we become dependent on our own inventions? Undoubtedly, the pervasive reliance on modern devices has led to adverse impacts on our lives. The detriments regarding the long term use of devices cannot be neglected. So, a couple of things that I notice about this student's introduction is I really love the way the essay begins, recognizing that we do have a lot of gadgets that surround us. Bringing up the beeping alarms, aromatic coffee brewers, distracting phone calls, gleaming cameras. The only thing I would say right here, just from a grammatical standpoint, the student used a comma and they really should have kept with the two as they had here and then as they had here. So it should just say, from beeping alarms to aromatic coffee brewers to distracting phone calls to gleaming cameras. That's just a little hiccup there. The rest of it I really appreciated in reading. I love how they used the rhetorical questions here just before ending their introduction. The only thing I might say is that if you notice, Writers, the student wrote, have we become, and then have we become, and then we have our own inventions. So we have very similar beginnings and very similar endings, or what might be considered predicates. And so if you have that, what you may want to do is rather than attacking the reader with multiple rhetorical questions, just make it perhaps one rhetorical question. And that is, have we become slaves to our own, or have we become dependent and slaves to our own inventions? Or have we become dependent slaves on our own inventions? Or have we become slaves and too dependent on our own inventions? Again, there are a number of ways to address these two rhetorical questions and basically fusing them into one rhetorical question. The student also had great word choice. Besides the transition word of undoubtedly, we have pervasive, we have adverse, we have detriments, and then we also have neglected. So obviously, because these all of the words I highlighted as far as neglected, detriments, pervasive, and adverse, they tend to have a negative connotation to them. And so this student is almost alluding to us that they're going to take a negative position throughout their essay. All right, let's take a look at the conclusion created by this student. So, again, we can come full circle and really get to see the connection between the introduction and the conclusion. Here is how they end their essay. In a nutshell, there is no doubt about the fact that modern devices have assisted us in every aspect of life. The ability to connect to our distant loved ones, the completion of time consuming tasks in a mere minute, and the leisure facilities in our homes, whether it's an oven or central AC, all of these are achieved by the innovation of modern devices. However, we cannot ignore the harmful repercussions of modern devices that pose a burden to our physical and mental well being. Ultimately, our well being proves to be more salient than temporary comfort or facilities. Hence, the use of modern devices must be restricted. Okay, so we definitely, if you remember their introduction, they went into a discussion about, making it feel the tone felt as if the student was going to go in a negative direction. And I really appreciated that this student went in that direction, especially right here in this section, because again, they ended where they began. And so there's a clear understanding that this student was definitely looking at the negative aspects of our modern devices. The only issue that I have about this ending is that when they said, hence, the use of modern devices must be restricted. So in this case, I'm not sure if that really ties into what was said in the introduction. It may be, that the use of modern devices, should be respected or maybe limited, but this use of restricted has a stronger tone, great use of transition words. However, ultimately, hence, my only issue is this little word here, restricted, and just the connotation of that word. Now, how they begin the essay or the closing of the essay in the conclusion in a nutshell. This is one of those where it's very conversational. However, I think you would be better served to say something like, in conclusion or indeed. Indeed helps to create emphasis. And so, indeed, there is no doubt about the fact that modern devices have assisted us in every aspect of our life. However, in a nutshell, is a little bit too conversational. So just be aware of that, right, writers? Then the student created this really large, what I call almost it's like it almost wants to be a complex sentence, but what we have, the real sentence is, all of these are archived by the innovation of modern devices, and that's really the real sentence. That all of that text is all resting on the shoulders of this three-letter word, all. So you want to be careful of that, not to have so much, at the front end that you kind of lose the thought, which is, that these are all examples um, of what the innovation of modern devices have allowed us, to be able to do. And so this is a sentence that I would rework in some way so that again it flows better and you don't have all of these phrases resting on the back of the three-letter word all. All right, right, writers. I hope this video was helpful and useful to you. As you can see, I kind of wanted to end with the entire essay, and we'll be looking at these body paragraphs in our next video next Tuesday. Thank you again, right, writers, for joining me. And I hope critiquing and taking a look at other student examples ensures your success. And I know that when we share with each other, we all benefit from the experience. Thank you again to the student. Thank you to you all, right writers, for tuning in. And I appreciate you again subscribing and liking and offering any recommendations or comments. All right. Take care, right writers. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Cruise out. Love you guys. Bye bye.